Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown Podcast, the season preview show. Johnny, Dana, Tom, and Matt. We are the Boro Podcast that gives you all your Boro Matchday chatter in a podcast. And this is the first time you've seen the Boro Breakdown. We bring you the highs and lows, the tactical analysis, the opposition insight, that we are the home of the Shithouse Island and the Knee Slide Club and whatever comes up this season. But also you can support the pod this year by buying us a chips and curry. You'll hear a lot more about that this year. Or one-off or monthly subscription. And it helps fund the pod, but also you can support the Fly Me to the Moon, can't you, Dana?
Yes, you can. I'm going to show it now on the screen. Fly Me to the Moon, 10 monthly issues this season. Record-breaking Boro fanzine, now published the most issues than any other fanzine out there. And yeah, it's a good read. Some brilliant writers in there, minus myself. So if you want a pre-match read or a read during halftime, then go and subscribe to Fly Me to the Moon. We'll put the link in the description.
Thank you very much, Dee. And yes, you can get it very, very soon. So, guys, let's chat this season. Let's look at pre-season first. Boro played Santa Clara, Mansfield, Bradford, Rangers, Hartlepool, and Deportivo La Coruña. And we didn't register a single win. But how are you guys all feeling about this upcoming season?
Oh, you know what? I feel discouraged. I can't lie about it. I'd love to come on here and be positive. I don't want to come on here and be negative in any way. And I will admit that I look at Boro sometimes through a more pessimistic leaning lens, but I will attach myself to positives when I see them. But I just see more reasons to be a little bit down on Boro than positive about us. I think we are massively underprepared for the start of the season, and particularly for how Rob Edwards wants to play. You think about that high energy pressing side. It kind of flies in the face of Boro's fitness over the last 3 or 4 seasons, where all we've really known are injuries upon injuries upon injuries upon injuries. And it's happening again. Edmondson, Azaz, McGree, Bangura, Lenahan injured during pre-season. I have concerns about the way that Rob Edwards wants to play. I don't see what he wants to do and what he has to do it marrying up quite well. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if he has to change tack slightly and compromise at some point during the season because of that. And then the emphasis on wide play, which is a big part of Rob Edwards' style. We saw it at Forest Green and at Luton. We are massively lacking quality in that department. Britton will be a good signing, of course, but we need more than that. So yeah, I think the transition from Carrick's style and Rob Edwards' style, even with the summer window in between, I feel like it could be awkward. I hope it isn't, but I just feel like it could be a very awkward, clunky kind of pass over from one style of play to another. So that's why I'm a little bit down on Boro this season. Yeah, we're lacking quality. I think we're lacking depth. We're lacking fitness of key players again. I hate to kind of kick us off on a bit of a bad note, but I do fear that we're in for a long slog, at least at the kind of first half of the season.
Yeah, I think I'm quite nervous about it as well. I wanted to be really optimistic when Rob Edwards came in, and I remember saying at the time, I think there's a lot of reasons not to be, but like I actually feel quite optimistic. But then as the pre-season's gone on, I know you shouldn't read too much into it, but not registering a win in any of the pre-season games has kind of got me added to the nerves there. The fact that it's taken us so long to actually get into the transfer market and sign anyone, and then the fact as well of the formation that we seem to be playing. I know we talked about this on the Rob Edwards pod when he first joined, but I would have thought coming in the way this squad has been built and recruited for the last few years, I'd thought a good coach would come in and be like, right, what have I got at my disposal? What's the best way to use them? But it just seems to be like, right, this is what has worked at Forest Green and Luton, so this is what's going to happen here. And I would have expected, the coaching staff, Free Strike Vivesh and Harry Watling to have a bit more input on that. Maybe they have had the input on it, and this is genuinely what they've decided is best. But I just think with the recruitment we're now having to do for the squads, and wanting to play 3 centre backs but not actually having that many centre backs, I don't get that decision. And I agree with Dana that it might be kind of early on in the season, might be the middle of the season where there needs to be some compromise, and we need to change, because we're not going to be able to play that, favoured formation and system.
Yeah, I'm worried the shifts may be a little bit too much as well. I was actually kind of quite content with how things were going up until the transfer window, and I thought the one big missing piece of the jigsaw is recruitment, and a big part of that was wing backs. And I'm quite astounded we've gotten this far into the summer transfer window and we still haven't got wing backs in, even though we're desperately trying to play that style of play with wing backs. So the recruitment has probably been the biggest cause for concern, as well as the injuries for me. I was kind of hoping that Rob Edwards would be able to take what we had and improve it. But even though I have saw positives at times, I've saw a couple of things that I've liked. I just think the shift from what we had under Carrick to what we want to do under Edwards is just maybe too big. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, are we about to make the same mistake that we've made so many times when we've shifted managers in the last however many years, stuck in the Championship, where we've went with a new manager whose style is just too different. Therefore, too many members of the current squad just don't fit, which then requires obviously a huge turnover of players. That dreaded word, rebuild. I was hoping that the transition would maybe be a bit more seamless than it has been. And I'm now just looking at our squad and I just think we're either going to have to do what we've done many times in the past, which is try and plug square pegs in round holes, which never goes well. Or we're going to have to just spend another window or two rebuilding, getting the squad suited to Edwards' style of play, if we even get that far. And we're just going to keep going round in the Boro cycle. And I think that's why I'm not really feeling anything heading into this season. I've got no expectations. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit calmer about things. But I'm sort of thinking, well, should I have expectations? Because we pay a lot of money to go and watch this club. You'd like to think the expectations are always playoffs. So should I be sat here content that, yeah, we're probably going to finish 10th transition season, consolidations? I feel like I shouldn't be feeling that way, but I do. So I think it's just the general apathy of just the Boro cycle we've been going around for so long now. And I just look around and I think we're just standing still as a club going around in this circle where so many of the clubs I think are building, progressing, they've got continuity, they're doing things the right way, and we're just at the start of the same cycle we've been in for 8 or 9 years now. So yeah, I'm trying my best to be positive, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see. It's hard to see where we're going to be. I think we've got a huge couple of weeks coming up in the window.
Look, Matt, if you don't have any expectations, you can never be disappointed. So that can be your motto for the season. And for me, I remember was when we spoke about Michael Carrick's future, and we spoke around how much change is too much change, and I was very much in favour of keeping Carrick at the time. And I still think with Edwards coming in, I still think there's a lot of change that's needed. But this change has been happening for the last 3 seasons. I would say, 42 players in 3 seasons. We'll probably reach 50 signings by the end of September if you put everyone together. And that is a big churn of players. And you can never really build a core or stability from that. And I think the big change in players has been a domino effect from that 2022-2023 season, really, when this big influx of change of players really started. We've not really been able to build that core as quickly as as stable as we wanted it to be. But big picture, it's like, how are we going to look and say 12 months and 18 months? Is the amount of signings going to decline? Or are we still going to go through the same cycle? I think with Edwards right now, I think he will regress Boro technically, but will come more of a rounded team. But that can be fine. We can definitely do that. We can become better defensively and tweak the way that we play. But what I don't want us to do is move away from what made Middlesbrough great over the last 3 seasons in favour in a different style, which nullifies that, but then will still give up the same amount of chances, because that, for me, screams a mid-table side and the side that won't compete. And this is a division this year where it's going to be very competitive. And I think that a few bad results will see you drop down to, say, 16th, 17th, even 18th. On a few results, we'll see you go up to like 6th and 7th. So it's a very interesting year this year. But what I am concerned about is, are we going to move away too much from what made us good enough? And go to a system which doesn't create as much as we want it to be. But it's still very early. It's only pre-season. There's still some signs to come in. I'm not going to rule Middlesbrough off completely for the year, even though my prediction is probably going to say otherwise. But I think that there's still a lot to do, and we still have a lot to really look at over the next few weeks. So my words will be big picture for this season. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult right now, isn't it?
I was just going to jump in there, and I completely agree. I mean, I remember when we did the Rob Edwards reaction pod, and I was saying I feel like we need somebody that's somewhat similar to Michael Carrick, not similar to Michael Carrick, but has similar philosophy to him. And that's a very blanket statement, I know, but maybe he keeps that same approach to games, but makes our attack a lot more efficient, because it did get blunted towards the back end of last season. Just sharpen the tools again and maybe get us playing a little bit better, more kind of less passive against the ball. But I also just want to ask you guys, what do we think of Rob Edwards' approach to the media during pre-season? Because it's been very PR heavy, and I think before I get my opinions out there about it, it's probably a good ploy, if indeed it is like an intentional tactic, to try to win fans over through words before a ball is kicked for the season. But I think I said on the same podcast that I just mentioned there that I wouldn't be wooed by words, and that is still very much my kind of approach to it. It's brilliant hearing nice things, but I think it's very difficult to kind of see the action. So that's kind of what I want to see from Rob Edwards. It's very easy to say X, Y, and Z and get football fans really wanting to like kick bricks for you, but the kind of task at hand is to try to action those words. And until I see the action, I'm not going to be swooned by whatever Rob Edwards says. And I know that may be a bit like, well, Danny will never be pleased, but I think we've seen under Chris Wilder, we did get wooed by words. I remember Johnny and Tommy went to that meet the staff event, and we left that wanting to run through brick walls for him, and then look what happened. I'm not saying that Rob Edwards will do that, but not to quote Tony Pulis, they're like custodians of this football club. They'll come and they'll go. Brilliant, nice to see, big words, big club, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. Let's see the action. Somebody actually mentioned that Rob Edwards is he's like Mr. LinkedIn, and I thought that was such a perfect way of describing him. He's definitely woken up at 6 a.m. and chosen positivity with his morning coffee.
Yeah, that's a famous phrase, isn't it? Actions speak louder than words. You'll see that words will only get you so far, but he has to say it though, right? I think if you're looking at where biggest complaints have came from Boro, especially one of the big things that everyone hated about Carrick was that he doesn't speak enough. He doesn't, show how passionate he is. He's not like running down the touchline, knee sliding, ripping his shirt off when we score. And that was hit constantly, where you've got the other end of the spectrum now with Edwards, who will say exactly what you want to hear. He'll try and always get buy-in, and everyone will love that. But as soon as results don't go your way, and say September, Boro about 19th to 20th, that will not fly at all. It's very much action-focused. And, I think as a manager, you can only say good things, really. He's going to have to say that. He's going to have to say, I want to be here, because he will want to be here. He's going to say very positive things. And I think it's just how you try to win people over. It's all well and good doing it with words. And I don't disagree with what he's been saying. But again, I think everyone will probably agree with me here. But if Boro have a very good and actionable start, and you're seeing progress on the pitch, then I don't think anyone will have any complaints. I don't know what you guys think.
There is a very obvious pipeline though, isn't there? Like at the beginning, it's all, this is so refreshing, great to hear, such honesty. And then in the end, it'll be, he's just a PR passion merchant. Like there is that arc, and I'm very acutely aware of that, which is why I don't want to kind of be wooed by words. As I said, it's all empty until I see the action of that. Yeah,
well, it's for me, like, you're not going to sell a season ticket if Rob Edwards is saying, I love the club, I'm so passionate, I love a Parmo, but you sat bottom of the league. People will come, and it's very the same with a lot with fans in football. No one's going to come if you're getting beat every week. People only turn up when you're doing well, or the season, or the ticket prices are a lot cheaper, and you're doing well. That's the recipe for success, I guess, in football to some aspect of it. But yeah, it's it's again actions, where Boro are at, what the form's like, and then when that's going well and his words are going well, that's when you start to get a lot of traction. But for me, anyway, I don't know if Tom, Matt, you got any opinions on that?
I was going to say I've just kind of tuned out to it all at this point. And I don't know if this is because, being the oldest one here, considerably, as we found out on the kit ranking videos, but I've just seen a lot in my time as a Boro fan, and there's going to be people in the comments who've seen more than me. And over the years, we've had managers, head coaches, whatever, come in and impress with words straight off. And I mean, Dana mentioned Chris Wilder. The one that came to mind straight away for me was Woodgate, coming in and saying, I want to play all this attacking football, 4-3-3, got the youth players coming through who were all really good, have done this PowerPoint presentation on Dykesdale and Bowler. And yeah, I just, that was the last time I feel like I personally kind of got carried away with what a manager was saying. And it's to the point now where I'm just like, the interview will happen, I'll be like, that's nice. And then just forget about it, really. It is almost like someone said to him, Carrick didn't really give much away in the interviews and the press conferences. Just don't be like that. Use your media training and stuff like that. Like, it might all be genuine, but at the same time, like, I'm just very tuned out to anything that a manager says at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think I'm the outlier a little bit, because I actually quite like the way he's come across. I completely take that if results on the pitch are not good enough, then I think with how his personality is, it could turn very, very quickly. And ultimately what happens on the pitch is the most important thing. So it doesn't matter how much you talk the talk, it's about how you walk the walk, right? So I'm fully aware that in a month's time, if we've lost all of our first 4 games, I think people are going to already start to listen to what he's saying and just not buy it. But I have enjoyed his transparency. I have enjoyed his personality. I think for me, it's refreshing when he speaks about injuries. It's good to just hear, what the injury is, how long players are going to be out for. So I think there's certainly been positives to how he's come across, and I've definitely preferred it to Michael Carrick. But of course, the proof will be in the performances on the pitch, and I guess his words will dilute pretty quickly if performances don't match. But so far, for pre-season, I get this PR, I get this all the bits you want to hear, I get that. But I've enjoyed his personality so far. And equally, I think on the other hand, if things go well on the pitch, I think he could equally be a manager that Boro fans will connect with very, very well, because he will come out after games, he will give it the chest beat, he will, give it the fist pump at the end of the game in front of a big away end, and that'll get fans going massively. So I think it could very easily go really, really well one way. It could go terribly the other. I guess the time will tell him what happens on the pitch. But I've liked his personality so far.
Well, let's turn our heads to the action then and look at pre-season in its entirety, because there was 3 defeats, 3 draws. I'm going to look at you, Matt and Tom, because us 3 have watched pretty much every minute of pre-season, where then you've just been taking in hedgehogs and
don't call me out like that. Don't call me out.
I'm calling you out. I'm on a mad one today. I can do what I want. But how have we all thought about pre-season? What's been standing out for you?
To be fair, I'm really invested in Harold the Hedgehog's story arc at the moment, D. So just so you know, I'm massively invested in that. I think pre-season, it's always difficult because results, I don't read anything into results at all. It would have been nice to see us get a win on the board, because I know Edwards has mentioned that winning mentality. It is important, and I think it would have probably been big to see us, us being able to hold on to leads in pre-season as well. I think there have been times where we've looked pretty good. I think you've got to also take the opposition into perspective as well. I know first half against Rangers, we were playing a second string Rangers side. I really enjoyed us in that first half against Rangers. It was the best I've seen us, and I thought we were clicking quite nicely. And even the first half against Mansfield as well. Again, yes, opposition, but I thought we looked good there. What I've kind of noticed from a lot of the pre-season friendlies, I didn't see Bradford, which was the one we did lose. And Hartlepool was just a pointless exercise, really. I think a lot of the starting 11 I don't think are too bad, and I think we have seen promising signs of what Edwards wants to do. I think yesterday especially I was quite encouraged to see, albeit I don't think either should be our starting wing backs. It was encouraging to see Ayling and Silvera be involved in the goals and assist the goals, and seeing Conway sort of being within the width of the box as more of a poacher, being in the right place at the right time to get a brace. So there are a couple of things I have seen. Obviously, I think with the first goal yesterday as well, we won the ball really high up the pitch with that aggressive press. So there are little things I've seen that I think, yeah, I can see what he's doing here. And maybe if the personnel was more to fit, maybe there is some real positive signs there. But equally, yeah, second half as the game's worn on, just with how demanding his style of play is, you can see that the players are tiring, and then the depth behind them is just not good enough. I don't think it's a coincidence that we dropped a 3-goal lead at Mansfield, dropped a 2-goal lead at Rangers, albeit they brought on their absolute big guns. I just think when you look at Boro's depth and the players we've brought on for our sort of best 11, the drop-off continues to be as it was last season, huge. And the floor of this team and the floor of the squad is still too low. So I think, albeit there are positive signs, I'm still extremely concerned by the depth. And if week in, week out, Saturday, Tuesday in the Championship, we can actually play this way successfully without, again, injuries, because as Dana alluded to, this was a big concern of mine going into the season. I think I mentioned it on our Rob Edwards pod. You've got a team that's already injury riddled from last season, and you're asking them to play a more demanding style of football under Rob Edwards off the ball, especially. And already we've had how many injuries? 6, 7, all pretty important first team players as well. So, albeit there's been good things, squad depth has been a glaring issue, and the injuries are, I think, going to be the biggest concern for me. It doesn't matter who we bring in if the players can't play his way off the ball or whatever week in, week out. That's where my biggest concern comes from. So a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah, for me as well. I said I noticed a few changes as well under pre-season. It was 3 things at first, but now I've added a 4th one really. But one was the set pieces changes. Scoring 4 set pieces in pre-season is definitely a bonus. For reference, we only scored 8 up the whole entire campaign last year. Us moving from more of like a press in certain moments to a counter press and that gegenpress where winning it high, turn the ball over and trying to create a chance from it. And the third one was goal kicks, really, changing away from playing out from the back, adding it a bit more hitting the ball longer, trying to win the second ball, get yourself playing from that. And then finally from that too, like wing backs, if you are going to try and play that 3-4-2-1 system, if you like, or 3-2-5 in possession, look, it's so vital that you have wing backs to do it. And Silvera's done really well, and you know what, he's been a nice surprise in pre-season. I would say I love it when a player comes back and is really trying to prove a point to the new management and get himself in there. He did really well yesterday to do that, and we'll rely heavily on wing backs throughout this season if we are going to play this way. But also when we are playing out from the back as well, when you're seeing Kante come in now, and you are looking at Morris and Kante, is that 2, or Lauren McCabe? Because let's be honest, Hackney's gone. I don't think he's going to stay, regardless. Regardless of him rejecting the Ipswich move, Edwards has always used double pivots differently. He's always using a bit more of a base rather than trying to bring the ball forward. And you're seeing now where the centre-backs are bypassing midfield, trying to get into the 10s, trying to find a pocket of space, and the 10s will always try and be progressive. So it's just a few tweaks here and there, I think, where he's trying to adjust things and try to create chances in different areas. But it's been okay. I'm not hugely wooed. I'm not hugely disheartened. I just think we're seeing a different side to what we've seen previously, where a lot of fans were saying, well, it's one-dimensional character, only one way. I think Edwards still has his way, and he'll still try and play that way. And this is why I said at the start of the show, I don't want to move away what made us really good at. But as time goes on, I think we will do that and become a much more vertical side rather than a possession-based team for sure. But Tom, I don't know if you've seen anything as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were talking yesterday in our group chat about the whole bypassing the midfield thing through the Deportivo game. Hackney leaving's probably going to be a good thing for his career at this point, because it just looks like we're going to rely less and less on the midfield, and this is probably going to be the point where his value is highest for us, realistically, because he might pop up with a few goals this season, but I reckon his impact, if he was to stay, would be a lot less than it has been in previous seasons. I don't kind of mind playing with 2 6s and kind of using that as a base and moving it up. It's just you need the right personnel around it. And one thing I would have really liked to have seen in pre-season, given the whole talk of it when the coaching staff came in, they did the whole meet the coaching staff event. Matt, you went to that and you told us about this. Adi Vivesh saying, I know how to make changes from sideline to change a game in the last half hour, 25 minutes, etc. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more in-game management. I know it's only pre-season and the results don't necessarily matter, but at the same time, dropping leads the way we have done against teams, I would have at least liked to have seen some examples of that in-game management to hold on to those and maybe even extend them. So that would have given me a little bit more confidence going into the season, but yeah, as it is at the moment, I still don't know what to expect next week, and that's it's making me nervous for is next weekend going to be ruined or not.
I think we can expect a draw, right? The amount of draws that we've had in pre-season, 4 out of 6 games have been draws. So maybe put a bet on Boro Swansea being a draw. But yeah, I have actually watched pre-season games just to kind of correct Johnny there. I watched the only ones that I didn't watch were Hartlepool and Rangers. But I think if we're thinking about winners and losers from pre-season, I think you've got to say that the winners have been Lon McCabe and Sammy Silvera, right? I mean, Sammy Silvera yesterday was really good. It was brilliant to see him take his man on instead of cutting inside and trying to shoot. He looked dangerous. He looked a threat. And I think Boro have missed that one-on-one threat. So I think it depends on when Callum Britton gets in, I suppose. But he might have a shout of getting minutes anyways against Swansea. So it's a big season for him, a big start to the season for him. He's done himself no harm in pre-season. And then McCabe as well. McCabe looks really assured on the ball. He always has done since he got his debut 2 seasons ago, I think it was. Really assured. He's a good player in taking the ball on the half turn and then playing forwards. I'm not sure he quite covers Hayden Hackney's ball carrying ability, but he seems to be above Dan Barlaser in the pecking order. And if we're thinking about losers of pre-season, Dan Barlaser is probably one of them, and Marcus Forss as well. I feel like Barlaser didn't. It sounded, Matt, you were at the Hartlepool game, and Tommy, you were at it as well. It didn't sound like he was the greatest against Hartlepool. I mean, I will give him some leeway in that it's just a different team that he's in at kind of lower level. I don't know whether he was kind of brought down to that, but them two, just Barlaser and Forss, just don't seem to have really added to. I don't know. They've not. I feel like they have maybe done their favours a little bit of harm in pre-season.
I don't know. I felt like Forss on Thursday. Was Thursday? No, Wednesday. And we played Hartlepool. I feel like he was playing like he had a point to prove at the start. He was very high energy. He caused a mistake from the goalkeeper, which could have easily ended up as a Boro goal. But I do think he faded as the game went on, and that was maybe just him running out of energy in a high energy style. And on your point about Barlaser, I wouldn't have said he stood out as being particularly good or bad. I thought he had an all right game. I think he maybe could have done with some better options around him in terms of people to pass to, but yeah. I didn't think he played horrifically. I thought he played actually all right.
Well, yeah, I was gonna allude to the losers. I was just gonna say, Johnny, on the Hartlepool game, I think it was very telling that they were the players that were chosen for that game. Obviously, they didn't play against Rangers, didn't get many minutes yesterday. I think I've seen Forss, unless he wants to be played as depth up front, I don't see where he fits. And McCabe being played over Barlaser, I think, is extremely telling as well. I actually thought Hamilton started pre-season quite brightly. There were a few things I saw at Mansfield, and I thought, wow, a bit like Silvera, I thought it looks like a bit of a different player here. Since then, it's kind of faded, regressed back to the sort of player we saw before. I know we were all hoping and expecting maybe that Hamilton would have a good season, but I think it's quite telling that him, Gilbert, definitely going to be out on loan, I would say, at the very least. And, I guess maybe if Barlasser and Force, if bids come in for them, it sounds like maybe we'd accept them to free up some of the wage bill. I don't know, but I think there's definitely some players that just don't fit this squad. I think if we can move them on and free up some wage space, I think it would probably be a good idea to do that.
Yeah, I thought Hamilton would be someone who would do quite well at wing back, to be honest. I thought him when he was at Man City for a while and in the first couple of games and in under 21s, under 23s, quite a direct player. And then it feels like here that he's still willing to recycle play quite a lot. And I thought, oh, well, you know what? This year it could actually be a great opportunity for him to play on that right-hand side, get up and down the flank, or even on the left-hand side, at least take on his man. And we definitely seen that against Brentford and against Mansfield as well. But yeah, it just seems that it's just not favourable right now. And Silvera has got ahead of him and he's got a good point to prove. And I would just say Morgan Whittaker has been pretty bright as well, to be honest. I've quite enjoyed his performances, just dropping into that space, trying to create some opportunities from there. I think him and Azaz or him, McGree, are probably the two behind the striker for the season. But looking at the signings then, because you can see a much more in-depth view of our signings via our lowdown videos, which you can see on our YouTube channel. But we have signed two players, definitely, in Alfie Jones and Abdoulaye Kante, but Callum Britton is very much done, to be honest. I think he'll be signed this week. But Tom, how would you assess our signings so far?
I think looking at Jones and Britton, two solid championship players, which I think is possibly what we were needing from our defence over the last couple of years, or at least needing to add. Actually, no, I mean, they'll benefit being in the defensive line, but the defence needed more work than just signings anyway. But I'm quite happy with both those signings. Abdoulaye Kante, is undershorts are far too white, is the only criticism I would have of him so far. Watching the Deportivo game yesterday, I was like, what the hell's he wearing? Has he got like a special type of short that no one else has? It? But he looked good. Quite high energy in that 6 role. So hopefully, the more he plays this season, I think if we were playing him and Morris alongside each other, that could possibly be a really, really good base for the midfield and the rest of the team. So I'd look forward to seeing that play out. It's just we need more, and we should be used to this really with Boro over the last couple of years, because we tend to take ages to sign a player from the moment we're linked to them. I feel like it's been getting longer and longer every season. Wouldn't surprise me if, come deadline day, we're making Premier League loan signings, which no one expected, like, Ben Doak last season. But I just feel like at the moment we leave it far too long, and they don't have a pre-season, and we are constantly caught in the same kind of cycle where no one's really gelled. It takes them a good few months to get up to speed, and by that point, season's over for us. So, yeah, happy with what we've got so far, but we need more, and we need more quickly.
How many signings do you think we all need? Like, do we need about another 5 more, another 6 more, 10 more, 30 more, 24 new squad, new management, everything? What do you think?
I've gone with 5. I've gone, if we just kind of look at the squad depth this season, I've gone with a strong shot stopper, because we've had too many goalkeepers that have probably leaned more towards good ball playing ability and good distribution than being an above average shot stopper. So I think that's an important position. Very interesting that we have not been linked with a goalkeeper this summer for the senior team anyways. I feel like we need a left wing back, somebody that can also play left wing, because if we do switch to a 4 and we have left wing position, I'm not convinced with the options there. Obviously, you've got McGree. remains to be seen whether McGree, if playing as a left winger, will play in the same way that we saw him play under Michael Carrick. And then Bergzorg is very wasteful. He should get limited starts next season. For me, he should be a depth option. I would say a ball carrier midfielder to replace Hayden Hackney. I would also say better depth at number 10. And people might not agree with that, but I think it's mostly I'm looking at Gilbert. I don't feel like Bergzorg, Hamilton, Gilbert, Force are good options behind whoever starts in number 10. So I'd actually get better depth. And I think by that, I mean somebody whose main position is a number 10, because that position is very important for me. And I feel like it needs someone that is kind of not a specialist, but as close to a specialist as you can get in that role. And then obviously a striker. I'm kind of unsure on the profile of that. Maybe more of a physical target man. I don't know, because I don't really know what Rob Edwards will want from that position. So for me, I would say 5 positions to strengthen, but it's all about that squad depth, because with that energetic press out of possession, it puts a massive onus on fitness. And Boro, as we've seen in pre-season so far, have fallen foul of injuries, and that will probably continue this season. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
I'm the same as you, D. I think we need to address quite a lot. Goalkeeper for me was probably the biggest. When we were speaking to Gab, I was saying that it's probably our biggest priority, because I just can't rely on Dieng when he comes back, and I'm still not convinced by Bruno Glover yet. I still think we need depth at centre half as well. Rav van der Berg's going to go in a couple of days. Really, realistically. You can't rely on Edmonds at the moment injured. Lenihan injured. We're so plagued, and it's that lack of availability for me across the entire squad is a big concern, and you cannot play that style of football for 46 games like we want to play. To be honest, I think we need to add more quality and depth. I don't know if Matt or Tom, I don't know if you think we should add any more.
I'm going about 5 or 6. I'm agreeing what people are saying about the goalkeeping situation. I said towards the end of last season, I think I'd be a bit nervous going into the season with Brynner's number 1, and it's not to say that he hasn't kind of earned it. I just think it's the position for an academy player. It's the most difficult one to take a step up to. So, because the mistakes are more magnified, so Bryn goes into that position, he needs to be pretty much perfect to keep that shirt. Centre back, as you were saying, very, very good chance that Rav van den Berg leaves. I think we needed centre backs anyway. So yeah, I'd go 1, maybe 2 more centre backs. Then you need a left wing back. Callum Britton's not on the squad depth chart, but he should be on there. Aylin can probably be the backup there for 1 season. Bangura and Silvera back up on the other side for 1 season. I don't mind that. If Hackney goes, I would be looking again at someone more in the Morris kind of role, who is comfortable on the ball but can break up play quite well. Another striker, and then potentially a number 10 as well. I know we were linked to Pavel Solk, who's gone to Lyon now, I think it was. So, that seems to be an area that we're looking at. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did sign a number 10 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've just noticed that we don't have Borges on the squad depth, so he'll be there somewhere. But
Poor Neto.
Poor Neto, just completely forgot they existed. But I was looking at this squad depth graphic, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is the current system that we're wanting to play. But if you tweak it to a 4-2-3-1, the squad for me looks better, even though it's the same players, because you've got about 4 to 5 centre backs there. So you'll have obviously got Brennan goal. You'll have Lenihan Edmondson on one side, Fry and Jones on the other. Right back, you'll have Aylin and Callum Britton. On the other side, you'll most likely have Bangura, Borges, and McCormick, Kante, Morris, McCabe, Balassa. Obviously, you want to change them and bring one more person in. And then even in that attacking outlet of that three. McGree can play on the left, so can Bergzorg, so can Hamilton. Azaz, Whitaker, and Gilbert can play in there. And on that right-hand side, you can play Force, you can play Silvera, and up top you've got Conway, really, that's just by himself. But for me, that looks like a team that, with depth, makes a lot more sense. Now, when you try to jumble this up in a different system, that's where it looks a bit, I'm a bit unsure of what this can be. And now look, in possession, Boro still eye that 3-2-5, and they try and do things how similar they did with Carrick. But when you look at it at this view, it feels like there's a lot of work that needs doing. But when you just tweak the system, it looks a lot more comfortable, to be honest. But I don't know, Matt, if you want to round us off on this one, but I do want to touch on Hackney and Rav as well.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Johnny, about us changing to a back three. I mean, it comes back to that continuity question again of like, the message we thought that was coming out of the club was, regardless of the manager, regardless of what we want to do, the players we sign, the manager that even comes into the club, they're all signings for Middlesbrough Football Club. The manager signs to play the Middlesbrough way. The players come in to play the Middlesbrough way. And I just feel like it contradicts what's happened a little bit, even though maybe in possession we are playing in a similar way at times. The setup is just, that the formation is just so much different, and the personnel that we're needing is so much different. I agree. I think I didn't have much faith in our centre-backs staying fit enough last season when we were only playing with two of them. So to play with three of them, I think it just adds even more of a high demand on them positions. And of all the centre-backs we've got, I apologise to Borges for forgetting to put on the graphic. But I think only Borges and maybe Alfie Jones, who's coming, I could maybe say I can rely on. I guess that's one of the big pros with Alfie Jones is, well, until he's come to Middlesbrough Football Club, that is, he's available for a lot of the time. But I think we probably need two centre-halves just because it's down to availability again, and just that we need more numbers there with playing a three. Left wing back is definitely needed, as well as Silvera's done. I know we've been linked with the lad from Columbus Crew, so maybe that's going to be a deal that will be done soon as well. A Hackney replacement in that position, at least just in numbers, is definitely needed. I also think we need a striker in behind Tommy Conway. I've seen no other striker in behind him that I think's looked all that good. So I think we definitely need depth there. I guess you could also use the availability argument for the 10s as well, as Dana said. There's players that are just maybe not good depth there. Also, McGree, can't really trust his fitness record either. And I am starting to even lean towards us getting a new goalkeeper as well. To start pre-season, I was thinking, yeah, maybe we can get away with Sol Bryn. But now I'm not too sure. So I think just across the board, the more I look at it, I look at all them injury icons that are on that graphic, I'm thinking, my God, just the more bodies, the better. There's so much work to do, isn't there? So much to do still.
100%. And we'll still have to add when these two players leave, and Hayden Hackney and Rav. Now, despite Hackney rejecting Ipswich, he's still likely going to leave. Let's be honest here. How much of a miss do you think Hackney will be? And also Rav as well, who, albeit he got injured a bit last year, but that season prior where he was excellent, still showed his quality. So how much of a miss do you think these two players will be for us?
I think Hackney will be a big miss because for me, he's our best player. With Rav, it's interesting because he had one very good season and one season that was a little bit inconsistent, a little bit up and down. Obviously, had his injury problems. His performances weren't quite the same. So I still think it will be interesting to see how Rav fares next season, wherever he is, because the third season for me is basically how we'll measure whether, well, I think he's good, but probably how good he is. So I'm not sure that he will be a huge miss in the here and now. His potential will be a big miss because I think he can develop into a better player than the Boro centre-backs that we have now. But it's Hackney for me that's going to be a huge absence from that team. I mean, when he came on yesterday, that drive that led to him smacking that Spanish player, like, we didn't see that from McCabe and from Morris. Morris was a little bit... It was a little bit... he had a difficult ride yesterday, I think, on the ball. But, yeah, replacing that ball-carrying aspect, I think, is something that Boro will they do? I don't know. It would be nice because it just gives us that ball progression in midfield just to connect the defense to the attack. But yeah, they're two very good players, both of them, in my opinion. And so one probably more of a miss than the other, but yeah, we'll see how we can replace them. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? How can we replace both of these players because they've done well for us? They're going to move on. How are we going to fare without them? How are we going to replace them?
Okay then. Well, let's move on to the best part of the show, prediction time. Now, in the past, we've had some unbelievably good predictions, but also we've had some unbelievably bad predictions. Just look at our last show from our season review show. We did review our previews, ones from 2024-25, and there were some absolute corkers in there. We do have 6 questions as part of the prediction part. And we're going to kick things off, guys, with where do we think Boro will finish this season? Who would like to go first?
I wouldn't like to, but I think it's silent, so I'll take it up. I'm going like 9th or 10th at the moment, and I feel like that's being a bit optimistic. Just based on pre-season, I haven't seen a lot in terms of seeing games out. I'm sure we'll be able to do it when needed, but I just don't think it's been an objective in pre-season for some reason. I think it's just been, try as many players as possible, try as many systems as possible, and see what we can get out of it. I feel like 9th or 10th is probably around where this squad can be at the moment. Didn't we finish about 10th or 11th last season? So it's around the same area. I'm not going massively optimistic and saying playoffs or anything. As you said earlier, it's a really competitive league, and I think if we're playing this system, we don't have the additions there yet to be that competitive.
Matt, do you want to go next?
We're going to win the league. No, I don't think we've got a chance of playoffs, to be honest, at the minute. I think there's so many unknowns with Boro at the minute. We could be anything at this stage. And that's not a good thing. A week out from the season that we could be anything. I don't think that's a good thing. I think there's every chance we could have a fantastic end of the window. If one of the big players gets sold, we could refund that money and we could buy the players we need. And who knows, we might find another Ben Doak in there. And yeah, we might challenge for the playoffs, but I think equally in that unknown, we might struggle, get injuries and be in the bottom half and struggling. So I've gone 12th because quite honestly, I was looking at a sort of window between 10th and 14th and I thought, I think we'll probably be in there somewhere. So I've just gone right down the middle. It's probably a boring one. But I simply just do not know what to expect. So I've gone smack bang in the middle with 12th. But I think we're nowhere near playoffs at the minute. I can pick out 7, 8, 9 teams who I think are just so much better prepared and equipped than us. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be a pretty mid-season.
And then for you, T?
I've gone the exact same as Matt, the exact same kind of explanation as well. I've actually written in my notes, could be anything. And I will say the reason to be optimistic is probably that, well, we can't be this underprepared forever. Like there's surely got to be a point in the window where we just get our shit together and we sign players in quick succession and we are in a far better state than we are right now. I do fear, though, that in January we'll essentially be how would I describe it? Catching up and doing business that we should have done in the summer. That is my fear. That's what I hope doesn't happen, but that's what I think will happen. I'm going to go 12th. The other positive is Eddie Vivesh. I really think that he could be a big positive for us this season, but I just think we've got a lot to do, a lot to do, and I just don't really rate our squad at the moment whatsoever. So, yeah, mid-table finish for me.
I'll round us off. Awkwardly, I'm not convinced. I think we're 15th for the season. I don't think we're good enough. I think there's a lot of work to do. I think we'll start slow. I think we'll compete, and then the reason why 15th sounds like a bit of like a what? Why haven't I looked at the league and I'm looking at the teams that can get playoffs, and I could have wrote 7 or 8 teams that could have got that final 6th spot. and Boro weren't even in my thought process. And I just think that's just where we're going to be. I just don't. I think at a push we'll be 12th, similar to you guys. But I think right now I'm 14th, 15th, and I don't think we'll get any higher than that, unfortunately. But for top 6, so who is your top 6 and who is going down? I'll do the same order. I quite like this little order from Tom, Matt, and Dana. So Tom, I'll come to you next. Who was your top 6 and who's going down?
I'll be honest, I've been that tuned out from football over the summer. I don't even know what a lot of other clubs are doing at the moment. I think my top 2 are Ipswich and Southampton in that order. Then looking at playoffs, I've got the league table up here. I mean, Leicester, I mean, obviously yet to be seen if they get a points deduction or not, but even so, I think they'll probably overcome that. Sheffield United, Birmingham, and probably Coventry to round that off.
And then for you, Matt. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you wait? Sorry, Tom. Who's getting relegated? Sorry, I'm jumping. Sorry.
Who's getting relegated? So I'm going to go with the easy one first. Sheffield Wednesday, 24th. They might get taken over and sign a new squad before transfer deadline day, but at the moment it's really not looking good for them. I've gone with the other 2 being Preston and Stoke.
Interesting. Finally, Stoke's time to go down there. Finally.
I just feel like both those clubs have been kind of circling the drain for the last couple of years. I was looking at Oxford as well, but I'm going to go with those 2 just because it's a little bit more out there than and unrealistic than possibly the predictions that are coming up.
Fair. And then for you, Matt, who are you going to go for top 6 and who's getting relegated?
Yeah, so top 2, I've gone Ipswich and Southampton. Playoff 4, Sheffield United, Birmingham, Coventry, 100% they'll be in there. And I've gone Norwich. I just fancied 6th to be a bit of a shock, bit of a surprise. But now knowing my predictions from last season, Norwich are probably going to finish 18th. But there you go.
I was going to say, Matt, I've changed your opinion on Norwich a lot. I've been hot on Norwich since about May, haven't I, to be honest, when we're in our group chat. So I'm glad that I've won you over there. I'm glad that I've won you over.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Norwich Club.
Welcome to the Canary Club.
Yeah.
And then bottom 3, yeah, Sheffield Wednesday at the minute are probably going to go down with a low points record, to be honest. Hull. And I think I've got Preston. I feel like they were in free fall at the end of last season. And I've not seen anything to suggest that they're any better off this year. So I think Preston could be one of the ones who might fall through the trapdoor.
And then for you, D, we're going to go for?
I've gone Ipswich, Southampton, top 2. Championship's becoming a little bit predictable in that regard, isn't it? Then Sheffield United, Leicester, Coventry, and Birmingham. And then relegated, Sheffield Wednesday, Hull. Sheffield Wednesday, basket case. Hull probably the next basket case. They can only sign players on for free transfers, I think, at the moment. And then Oxford. I just can't see where Oxford's goals are going to come from. They've got Mark Harris up front, who is the polar opposite of a clutch forward. Like, if he gets presented with a one-on-one, bank on him missing. And I'm not sure if their set piece goals from last season will continue. So I've gone Sheffield Wednesday, Hull and Oxford to get relegated. Imagine that, Sheffield United getting relegated. Oof.
It'd be insane if it did happen. But I'm very similar with you guys on the relegation side of things. Sheffield Wednesday, Hull, and I've went Oxford for those 3. And then who's going up top 6? I put Southampton first for now, just because of the squad that they have still, and they also have Will still as a manager. And so I think they'll do very well this year. Ipswich, the same. I think they're going to be brilliant. You never know, could do a Luton. But my top 6, I've went with Sheffield United, Leicester, standard, Norwich in 5th. And then for that 6th spot, I wrote down about 5 teams. So I'm just going to pick one and hope for the best at this point. And I'm going to go over rogue choice in West Brom. This is very rogue, and I'm fully aware of that. But they underperformed a little bit towards the back end of the season with Mowbray. I know Carlos Corberan did exceptionally well with this squad. But Ryan Mason could be anything, and I just like that anything about them. and they have a good enough forward line to score enough goals. And who knows, he might do the business, but there's about 5 teams I could have put there. So I'm going to go West Brom, which is a bit of a rogue choice, to be honest. But the next question we've got is surprise package team of the season. I'm going to go reverse order this time. So I'll go first, Dana, Matt, and then Tom. I'm going to kick things off. And this was a team that was in my 5. And it was Derby County. Sorry, Dana. I know you have big hatred for Derby.
Hey, it's lifted. Our Mel, my driving instructor's a Derby fan, so I have actually met a Derby fan that I like.
Yeah. And if you want to see more of Mel, you go and watch Race of the World, because he was on there as well and nearly won the lot. But yeah, I went Derby. I really like John Eustace. I really like the squad that he's pulling together. His strikers always score goals. And I think, well, the teams he's managed as well, he did really well at Blackburn, really well at who was he at before? I can't remember. Just the name's completely left my brain. Birmingham, that was one. Birmingham. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, it was like begins with just went. But Birmingham, Blackburn done really well. I think you do really well here at Derby. I still really like Portsmouth. I'm still high on them from last year, and then being my surprise package from the previous year. I think they'll do well this year. Portsmouth, I think they'll be about 11th. So, yeah, I think I'm quite high on them. But Dana, who's your surprise package?
I'm gonna go with Millwall. I was kind of, do Millwall get into the top 6 or do they not? I put Birmingham above them eventually, but I feel like Millwall could have a really good season. I think they could potentially sneak into the top 6, and I think that they'll do a decent job in the playoffs if they do that, mostly because Alex Neil has been there and done that, as we know, unfortunately. But I think their signing of Alfie Doughty, it may be a really simplistic point, but marrying that up with Ivanovic and potentially Josh Coburn as well up front, I think could be a really good partnership that gets them quite a lot of goals. Unfortunately, Boro fans, I do feel like Josh Coburn will have a good season for Millwall next season. And I can't wait for that to be all up in our YouTube comments saying, why did we sell Coburn? But yeah, I feel like they'll be the closest to a surprise package team of the season. Although I will admit, I don't feel like there'll be that many surprises in the Championship. I think it'll mostly be kind of as many predicted.
And for you, Matt, I mean, Dana said it's going to be predictable league this year, but are you going to go full of surprises, or do you think it's going to be predictable as well?
Yeah, I do. Me and Dana are not sharing notes. I swear. I had Millwall. I had Millwall as well. Derby's a good point, though. Actually, you've sort of taught me into Derby. I didn't think of them, but I just like what Millwall are doing in the window. I think, given their lack of funds, they're building really well. I think season on season, they're building slowly but surely. A bit like what I was saying with Coventry, they're keeping a good core. They're playing to their strengths. And I think they are just going to slowly creep towards playoffs. I think they've come agonisingly close in the last couple of seasons. And I don't know, is it fair to say that Millwall being 8th is a shock or a massive overachievement now? Because I feel like they always get close every season. But you always end up sort of, I don't know, expecting them to do worse when the season starts. But I think they have a good chance of getting in there. I really do. I like what they're doing there, and they're probably a big dark horse for the top 6. So I'll go with Millwall as well.
And Tom rounds off.
I was thinking Millwall, but I just don't think it would be a surprise at this point. I always kind of say they are the London version of Boro, in that they're always in and around the playoffs, but never quite make it, or if they do, they don't really win them. So, and I really like what Alex Neil's been doing there. Really rate him as a manager. He's a guy that I would definitely have liked to have seen at Boro over the years, but I just don't think it's ever lined up where he's been out of a job and we've been looking. My surprise package, and this seems like a bit of a rogue one now, considering you have said Millwall and Derby, but I'm going Charlton. I just think from the teams that have gone up, they've gone really under the radar because the other two are Birmingham and Wrexham, where they've got all this like mainstream coverage and stuff. But I just think they've recruited really well. And Nathan Jones as a manager, I just think he can build that really kind of like scrappy team that will get up the championship table. So I really wouldn't be surprised if they do quite well, stay up and finish around mid-table this year. I say I wouldn't be surprised, but they are my surprise package. But yeah.
No, I really like Nathan Jones as well, Tom, to be fair. He's really good at us against the world mentality, isn't he? Like, just, and when everyone gets on side, it's unstoppable. You've seen it with the likes at Luton as well, where he did really well there on 2 occasions. So, yeah, I like that pick. I think it's a good one. Finishes 24th. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, look, people will probably say, oh, well, Birmingham will be up there. Wrexham might be mid-table this year, and I probably will be. But Birmingham, for me, could be anything. Like, they've spent a load again. They're going to sign Akpom by the looks of it. So it makes me a little bit depressed, but that could just be all or nothing, couldn't it? And I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. But let's move on to Boro's Young Player of the Year. Now, this took me a while to think of one, because I was thinking, who could I classify as a young player for like this team? And I thought, when I looked at the squad, I was like, actually, we've got quite a few young players, actually, so plenty to choose from, but I still couldn't really choose one. But then I'll come to you. Who's going to be your young player of the year?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Does Tommy Conway still qualify as young player? Because if so, he would be in with a decent shout. But I'm going to go Law McCabe, mostly because, well, he's kind of the one that sticks out for me in pre-season. If he starts, which there's every chance that he could, I mean, obviously it depends on Boro's business. I feel like he just smacks of a Boro Young Player of the Year at the end of the season if he gets his minutes, because I just think the way that he plays is very nice on the eye. And I think we could see some real development from him this season. So yeah, I'm going to go Law McCabe.
Tom, come to you next. Who's going to be a young player of the year?
I was thinking Law McCabe, but I think the amount that the midfield gets bypassed, this is what I was saying about Hackney earlier as well. I just think it could limit the impact that they have. So I was trying to think alternatively to McCabe, and I'm going to go with Sol Bryn. I'm going to go that he starts the season as number 1, keeps the shirt, and be optimistic that he has a good season.
Sol Bryn, does he count? He's 24, I've just clocked. We're just going to count him anyways.
No, actually, forget about him. He's too old. Close to retiring. He's getting his bus pass next week. Come back to us. Go to Matt first. I'll think of someone else.
No worries. Matt, who's going to be a young player of the year?
Yeah, I was going to say McCabe as well. But you know what? I'm going to, for variety, and so I don't get accused of just copying off what Dana says, I'm going to go Abdullah Kante. I just feel like if he adapts well, probably because we'll have so many injuries, he'll probably start more games than we think. Yeah, why not? Why not give it to Alpha, as he's called for some reason, which I don't like calling him that. Just call him Abdullah. God, Kante. Don't call him Alpha. Yeah. But yeah, Alpha gets my vote. Just to be different.
I'll join you, Matt. I've gone Kante as well. I think Kante is going to be a really good signing for us, to be honest. I really like. We did a lot of low down stuff on him, and yeah, I think he'll grow into the season. I think it'll be quite fun. And then Tom, are you going to go for?
I'm going Kante as well, but I'm not calling him Alpha. Not even if there was a fire.
Listen, fair play. I mean, Jesus Christ! Imagine being in the fire with Abdullah Kante. I mean, that's a strange one. But anyway, next one is Boro Player of the Year. So who are you going to go for Player of the Year this year? This is open to gates for everyone. Do you know what actually you're saying there, Tom, about this, and then everyone, Sol Bryn being 24? Kind of feel like the over 25 category on X Factor, where when you're a kid and you're watching, you're like, God, these guys are ancient. And then when you got to 25, you're like, actually, I'm really young. Tom, me and you'll be fossils at this point because our number starts with 3. So we're on the last chance saloon there, to be honest. But who's got Boro Player of the Year, Denmal? Who are you going to go for?
Tommy Conway.
Easy. Tommy Conway. And then Tom, are you going to go for?
Morgan Whittaker. I think he's going to have a good season.
Good season for him. And then Matt, who are you going to go for?
I put Conway.
Me and Matt, we're just doing a Spider-Man meme.
I did. I put Conway.
You're wearing the same shirts, you know. You're both wearing glasses.
Oh, I know, God, yeah.
You know, I just that you two have been speaking before me and Tom jumped onto this call today, and just compared notes. I'll be honest, yeah. Well, I was going to go with Aidan Morris as mine. To be honest, I think Aidan, who was captain yesterday, I believe as well, wasn't he? So I think he's going to have a big season. I was really high on Aidan Morris at the back end of last year, and I still am this year. I think he's going to have a really good season for us. And then finally, the one that we've all been waiting for, the bold prediction of the season. Now, these have gone horrendously bad the last few years. I thought I was going to be there last year with the set pieces, but we just missed out. Saying just missed out, we were 10th. But what we're going to go for, Tom, what's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction is that I win a bet builder this year where Darragh Lenihan is picked to score.
It's bound to happen.
Didn't that already happen?
It's happened before. Then he's had 2 years out. It's going to happen again now.
Refreshing. Press refresh, Darragh. Get back fit so Tom can win a bet.
Was it Sheffield Wednesday that he scored?
It was,
Tom, was
yeah.
it was Sheffield Wednesday, yeah. Matt, what's going to be your bold prediction?
Yeah, so I said I'm gonna give Liv credit for this one because I didn't think of this, but I absolutely agree with it. Dale Fry double figures. He's gonna do Aidan Flint proud. He's gonna be the centre back that Aidan Flint never was, and Dale Fry's gonna hit double figures.
What, cards or goals?
Cards, goals, assists,
a lot.
You name it, a lot. No, he'll get 10 goals. He's got 2 in pre-season, hasn't he? And he nearly scored yesterday as well. So yeah, I think Dale Fry's gonna be our top goal scorer, win the Golden Boot.
We'll take the lot. Dana, what are you gonna go for?
Mine is pretty bold. I've gone for that Rob Edwards doesn't last the season, and whoever succeeds him gets us promoted via the playoffs. Now that's bold. That is bold.
Who gets us promoted? Have you got a manager in mind, or
Steve Cooper?
Ed Robwoods.
Just Rob Edwards with a mustache and some glasses on.
Just skinhead Rob Edwards. Oh dear. I mean, yeah, I like it. I like it, Dana. I mean, I've went complete opposite.
I'll go home.
Yeah, I've went complete opposite. I've said Boro will be in the bottom 6 for goals scored this year. I think we'll just regress massively on that front. So complete polar opposite. And poor Ed. What was it, Tom? My God,
Ed Robwoods.
Ed Robwoods. He'll have his work cut out coming in the back end of the season. But look, let's look ahead. Now let's pre predictions. Let's look ahead to Swansea. Now we are bringing back the opposition shows this year, so don't worry. We'll go into depth. And the first one was Swansea. I mean, kicking off some really, really ASMR tones with this one. And Danny, you'll present it this week. But guys, let's come to predictions. What are your predictions for the game against Swansea? Matt, I'll come to you. What's going to be your score prediction?
Why have you come to me first? I'm still wiping the tears away from my bloody eyes. That's probably tickled me, that. Oh God. Okay. Composed. I'm gonna go draw. It's predictable. I know we've drew a lot of games, but I can't predict us to win. As great as it would be, I feel like we have to as well, because like Millwall away, Norwich away, Sheffield United at home. Christ. They don't fill me with confidence. So I feel like, is it a must-win? It feels like it already. Yeah, I'm going to go draw. And sorry, I think we've had a few 2-alls, so I'm going to go 2-all again.
Desmond for Matt. Denner, what are you thinking?
I'm so glad that you said 2-2, because I was going to say 1-1. I was like, don't say 1-1. We will be the same person if you say 1-1. Yeah, I'm going to go with a draw. Start off with and go from there.
And then Tom, what are you going to go for?
I'm going 2-1 Boro. I just feel like it's it's a scoreline that stands out for Swansea at home over the last few years, and I don't even know if it's a regular one. I just remember there was one where me and you were in the director's box, Johnny, and it finished 2-1. So, yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean, I will flag that we weren't invited there by the club. It was through work at this point, because we are fully not with the club at this one. Just got to say, you got to say it these days. Got to say it. But for me, I'm going to go 1-0 Swansea. I think it's going to be a disaster.
I was going to ask as well, who's going to score the first Boro goal of the season? So you're kind of exempt from that discussion if you think we're going to record a 0.
Yeah, I don't think we'll score. But I don't know, guys. Who got a first goal scorer at all?
Whittaker starts off his player of the season run.
I like it. And then Matt.
Dale Fry.
Dale Fry. And then Dana, do you have a? Since you're asking the question, do you have a goal scorer in mind?
No, it'd be funny if I just didn't. No, I'm gonna go with Tommy Conway to get off the mark. First game of the season.
Okay, then. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, to listeners and the viewers, if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Boro Breakdown channel and also your podcast provider as well. There's plenty of content that's going to be coming out this year, so please do subscribe for that. But for right now, the season is ready to go. Boro on, but that was all your Boro Match Day chatter in a pod. Up the butter.